The VAR Show. The one place for your weekly football update.
Hola, very warm welcome to the VAR show, the show which talks about all the various major football leagues in detail. Today we are going to continue with interviews and we have the CEO of Bengaluru FC, Mr. Mandar Tamhane with us. So without wasting much time, I'd like to first thank Mr. Tamhane for coming on the show. Thank you and welcome to our show. And on that note, I would like to begin by asking you, how are you and what are you doing these days?
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be talking to you. It's a difficult time for all of us with the pandemic, so not much physical activity happening. But this gives us an opportunity to plan for the coming season as a football club, and to ponder and think about where we have gone wrong or what things we can improve. So I think our entire team is making use of this time to ideate and try and see of how new various opportunities we can create at the club for fan engagement, for many other aspects also. So I think the time has been well used, getting used to all these Zoom meetings and MS Team meetings and all. So it's tough time, not used to all these things, but yeah, that's the need of the hour, so to say.
So definitely, yeah. So of course, Bangalore, you all have been very. I think you all are. I think in terms of the Indian market, you all are the front runners. In terms of everything, like even in terms of Zoom meeting, like I contacted, I think Carl's Quadrat, your coach, and I think within 1-2 days, I got the meeting. Whereas with some other teams, I would not mention them. It has still not happened. So it's like definitely you all are very front runners in terms of fan engagement and everything. So I'll talk about you in general, okay? And I was very confused, like most of them, you have an engineering background. Like everyone in India has an engineering background, and then suddenly you are involved in football for most part of your active career. How did you go from mechanical engineering to maybe being the CEO of Bengaluru FC?
It was not meant to happen like this, honestly, or rather I was not aspiring to be something what I am doing currently, although football has always been a kind of a passion for me right since my childhood. Engineering obviously happened because my family is into businesses. We are into real estate, automobiles, etc. So the automobile part of the business is something which I used to look after. So as a immediate, and I'm a third generation in our family who is into this automobile industry. So it was a necessity from the parents' point of view that I should become an engineer, and that's how I got involved with engineering. And during that period, I was always an active player at the local, our Pune level or a local state Maharashtra level, etc. But never at a national level or any professional football in terms of any of these I League, etc. That happens in India. So the love for the sport or the passion for the sport was always there. And because of one of the games that I was playing for my local club called Deccan 11 in Pune, I had a bad fall and I had a surgery on my hand, which had around 6-7 surgeries. I've got 2 rods in my hand, so that curtailed my sort of a playing part of football, and which resulted me in being involved in administration. And since 1999, I am part of the Pune District Football Association, and now I'm currently the treasurer for the same. So my administration journey started in 1999, and and that's how I got involved into football. Parallelly doing obviously looking after my businesses, etc. Football was not a job for me. It obviously got more of a job in the past 2-3 years. Obviously, Bengaluru FC have been involved right since the beginning, since the 7 years of our existence. So this journey has been a journey which I was never wanting to go in that direction, but it happened to me, and I think I'm fortunate because not many people get to work in something which is their passion. It's normally something that is told by your parents that you have to be an engineer or a doctor or a lawyer or something like that. So I think my journey was something, and I feel it's lucky that I'm able to work in something which is my passion.
So definitely, and like even I'm a computer engineer. I did it from Bangalore. I was in Bangalore for around 9 years, I think. with my +2 also. I
That's
did from
nice.
same. So like
Oh,
I wanted to ask you, like, you have been involved in football for quite a while, like, and you have seen everything probably, maybe from the NSL to the I League to ISL. So like,
right.
how has football evolved from when you started, at least when you were playing back then, to now in India?
No, I think there has been a lot of improvement, and I wouldn't like to say like how other people speak. If you look at where India was ranked, it was 178, and now it is 100. So there has been a huge amount of improvement in Indian football, because we all know that the ranking system, obviously earlier and now, is different. Your all matches that you play for the World Cup qualifiers or the Asian Cup qualifiers are now counted as official games, and hence the points are calculated. And as a result of which, India obviously has come well within the 100, for the past 1.5 years. But that I wouldn't say is the yardstick. But what I feel is there has been a lot of growth in terms of uh, the way the Indian boys are playing football, tactically and technically. I think the awareness to that aspect has improved immensely, and I feel that is due to the kind of quality coaches that have been coming up from outside, as well as a lot of good Indian coaches that are being further developed. Obviously, the market in terms of the salaries and the wages of the players has immensely improved. What was there probably 10, 12 years back, and now what it is because of the ISL as well as the I League has immensely improved. I remember that when we were part of the I League in the first couple of years, and when we were looking out for foreign players outside, it was always difficult for us to convince them to come to India, what Indian football is all about, etc. But now with the ISL, the eyeballs and the awareness of a league in India has increased, and I feel getting these foreigners, now the foreigners are inquiring whether they can come to India, because you're aware that probably amongst the top 4 5 leagues in Asia is what the wages for the foreigners are in India. So that kind of development has happened. There has been enough and more opportunities for professionals from various fields to get employment in a club, not only just as players, I mean, but in terms of various capacities, whether they are lawyers or marketing guys or operations guys, or even physios and doctors, etc. So that kind of opportunities earlier was not there in football, I would say, and that awareness has come, and that opportunities now as a career beyond playing, as a career in sports without playing, I think is more now, and obviously it has to further develop. It's not that it's the best, but I think these kind of development has been a lot more, these opportunities are a lot more now in Indian football than it was before. And I think also the fact that the clubs from India are consistently doing well in the AFC Cup. Now that we've got an opportunity that a club from India will be representing in the AFC Champions League, also gives us this exposure for the Indian players, especially to be able to compete against the best in Asia. And I think that's the only way as a nation we can grow. And apart from that, the awareness for youth development and grassroots, the baby leagues, etc. So the whole system or the whole ecosystem has got that awareness that what is the direction that needs to be taken for the sport to grow in the country. And I think this has definitely happened since when I was or probably playing in the 90s to now where we are now. And I think and obviously it further needs to develop and evolve, because if you have to compete against the best in Asia, which I feel should be our immediate goal, then again what others say, like playing in the World Cup, I think that is a far-fetched thing that is currently for India. Obviously we should have those aspirations and this aim to go there. But I think the immediate goal should be to be amongst the best 5 teams in Asia. The best 5 nations or MAs that are there under the AFC. So I think from that angle, I think we are all in the right direction. And hopefully, we in the coming future, we will be able to see those things also happening in Indian football.
So definitely, hopefully that happens, and on that note, I would like to first, congratulate you and all the people involved directly or indirectly with Bengaluru FC for completing 7 years on July 20th, 2020. It has been a great journey in terms of success on and off the field for you, like winning a lot of trophies. And you have been involved from
Yeah.
beginning, as you said, like, how has the experience been with Bengaluru FC?
No, I would say it's something which I really cherish. It is something which I got to work in on a clean slate. try to put in my ideas, put in my thought processes in how an ideal club should function, or at least try and reach toward that, to that level. Obviously, we are still trying our best. It's always going to be a learning experience, but the whole journey has been very good. I mean, the club was, as you mentioned, we completed 7 years on 20th of July, and we launched the club in 2013. But my association with the club almost started in the October of 2012, which was almost 8 to 10 months prior to when the club was launched, right, when the idea was conceived as to whether we can establish this club, etc. And one of my very close school friends, Kunal, who was part of our club right in the beginning. Now he's no more, but he's the one who initiated, whether I could help in this club getting established, and that's how my association started. And from there to now, I think it has been a good journey. Obviously, on the pitch there has been a success, but I feel, the mandate that we had from of the owners, that we have to try and contribute in whatever way possible in the development of Indian football. And I think we are on that pathway, and on being on that pathway, if the results are coming in terms of trophies, etc., obviously it's obviously great. But winning trophies or not winning trophies is part and parcel of sport. You cannot always keep on winning trophies, but what we can do is we can concentrate on the process, on the process of running a proper club in a professional manner, whether it is on the pitch, off the pitch, ensuring we get adequate importance to the grassroots, the youth development, and obviously the first team is also concerned. So I think it's been a good learning experience, good learning journey. I've got very good, fortunate to have some very good colleagues that are working with me at the club, on and off the pitch also. So I think it's been some journey that we just hope that it continues, and we grow Indian football and grow Bengaluru FC much more bigger in the years to come.
So of course, I hope that happens, and I don't know, I have an affinity towards Bangalore, although I've been only been there for one game, and I have the match report of that.
Matchday program, yeah.
So again, I
Nice,
think Northeast
nice.
United, that it was a 1-all draw, but yeah, it was an interesting game. It was the
Yeah,
only game I attended, but yeah. So
yeah.
when you started Bengaluru FC, when you all were there as a team, you all would have set up some goals and milestones. Did you all? Do you all think that you all overachieved, or you all achieved your goals early?
No, I definitely think in the first year that we won the league was probably the trend setter for us to maintain that kind of level. And yes, if you ask me that in the first year, did we go about saying that we want to win the league? No, I mean, I have to be honest about it, because you want to win, you don't want to lose, that's for sure. But at the club, I've said this before also, that we have got an incentive and bonus system at the club, which I started from the year one of the club. And at that point of time, we were playing in the I League, and we had 14 teams, 14 clubs playing in the I League. So for me, the bonus structure I set was that even if we come seventh, which is 50% of the league, then we should be, giving players the bonus, whether the 7th, 6th, 5th, 4th, etc. So that was where we started. That's probably where we felt, even if we finish 7th, we should be happy. It's the first year of our existence. We are just setting the foundations. But I think we had a good entire system that we put as foundations in the club right since the beginning, and we ended up winning the league in the first year itself. And once you do that in the first year, then obviously you are hungry to do well and keep on continuing doing well. So then obviously it was a no-brainer for us, or I don't think we overachieved. I think we maintained what we achieved in the year one, and that's how I probably look at it. But yes, definitely in the first year, I think it was something, and I wouldn't say it's a fluke or anything, because post that again we have been winning consistently. So I think due credit should be given to the players and the staff that we had in the first year for ensuring that we were able to pull off this title-winning championship season in the first year itself of our inception.
So definitely, and talking of, like you said, you should give due credits to the players and the coaches, whoever are involved, back in staff. So one thing that in my opinion, Bengaluru FC have got very much correct is the recruitment. How do you go about recruiting maybe coaches? Like maybe now you have a system that you want to follow, but starting with your first coach when you're in I League, it would have been difficult. How did you choose your first coach?
No, so it was important that we set about getting the right people at the club, which obviously includes the players, the coaching staff, even the team that works off the pitch in terms of the administration, whether it's our media team, operations team. So I am in person very particular about whoever is coming at the club. I like to meet everyone right from our the kid boy also, because at the end of the day it's the entire family that works together. So I'm very keen on interviewing everybody individually also, obviously apart from the coaching staff and the players, etc. But that's something which I feel is very important and the essence of what Bengaluru FC is today. uh, yes, and when we started the club, I remember that we interviewed almost all the top coaches that have been in India in 2013 previously, as a potential to understand what their thought process was about Indian football, etc. There was Indian coaches as well as foreign coaches, and we brought them down to Pune here, in one of the hotels, and booked the conference room, and called these guys on interview after every for 2 hours, and almost 6 or 7 of them we had interviewed. It was just to get an idea to my colleagues how the coaching system in India is and how the coaches in India were. But I was very clear that I wanted to bring in somebody fresh who has not been involved with Indian football, because he would come with fresher ideas, better thought processes than we already existing had. And we did a lot of Skype interviews with a few possible candidates, also that were not in the system prior to that, in Indian football. And we shortlisted one of the coaches to be our coach. And although the dotted line, it wasn't the signature was not had on the dotted line, but we had shortlisted one of the coaches. And but due to some reasons, we were not able to close him, because he was a slightly older gentleman, and his wife did a bit of study about India and Indian culture, etc. And she was not very comfortable of her husband, moving into a country like India, and that's why he had to, reject the offer that we had. Uh, so that made me also understand that we need to bring in somebody whose family would be, keen to settle in India also, or will be comfortable living, because then you don't want a coach being in India and his family being there, and then him worrying about what's happening there and not focusing completely at the job in hand, because it was a new club where a lot of systems needed to be set. So it was important that we bring in somebody who was, fully engrossed into the project, including and not worrying about his family and stuff like that. And as I mentioned, I used to play for this club called Deccan 11 in Pune, and currently I'm the secretary of the club. At that point of time, we had association, as one of our sponsors with the Venkis group. The Venkis group, the Rao family, they are current owners of the Blackburn Rovers Football Club. And through our association, at that point of time, we had sent one of our coaches for training in Blackburn, and that coach is now back and is with my academy right now. So when we had the profile of Ashley Westwood, and at that time Ashley Westwood was an assistant to a coach called Michael Appleton, and they both were the head coaches and the assistant coaches at Blackburn Rovers. And when we got his profile, I got a feedback from my coach, as to how Ashley is, etc. And I think he said he's a go-getter, and obviously he had a massive experience of playing over 400 games in the entire English structure, whether it was the Premier League, the Championship, the League One, League Two. He was also involved in a lot of promotions for various clubs that he played for, which meant that he was a leader, a go-getter, etc. So I think that profile was something which excited us. A young coach coming in with fresher ideas, newer ideas, because at that time he had just retired around a couple of years before from playing football. So he was well versed with the systems of modern coaching, modern football was. And obviously had a previous experience of being an assistant coach to Michael Appleton in a couple of championship clubs in UK. Was a profile which we felt was good. And I think that's how we brought Ashley Westwood on board. We had a Skype interview with him. We understood from him that his then wife was obviously a British citizen, but of a Pakistan origin, who was very much aware of the Asian culture, or how culture would be in India, and was ready to obviously move to India also. So that again clicked the criteria that we were looking, which in the previous experience we did not have a very good experience with. So I think all these boxes ticked, and I think the decision was made that we would bring Ashley Westwood as the club at the club. And I think Ashley did a wonderful job. I mean, along with the assistant coach Pradyum Reddy, I think both of them did a very, very good job in putting the systems at the club, in making realize or give the awareness to the players that it's not just about playing on the pitch, but how they conduct themselves off the pitch in terms of what they eat, how much water they drink, how well they rest. In short, the whole sports science angle towards being a professional footballer. Always everybody feels that if a player is getting paid, he's a professional footballer. That's fair. That's a fair argument. But at the same time, the players also need to think that if they are professional players, they have to behave like professional players. They have to ensure that they take care of themselves as players in terms of their fitnesses, the whole system per se, in terms of their strength and conditioning, the kind of recovery that they are expected to do, etc. So I think this kind of awareness, this kind of importance to that part of football was came in with Ashley. And I think that's how we brought him on board. And I think both of them, Ashley and Pradyum, were part of our success story right since year one.
So definitely. And talking of coaches, the next question may put you in a difficult spot. Okay, I wanted to ask, you've had foreign coaches. Why have you not maybe gone or dipped into maybe Indian coaches? Are they not as qualified, or do you want to take risk with them?
No, I think this is actually a very good question, because this has been the talking point of a lot of media houses in India right now, in terms of why not Indian coaches, etc. But as a club, I personally, or rather we all of us at the club, do not want to look at it whether it's an Indian coach or a foreigner coach. It's about who fits into the system, who fits into our thought process, who fits into the way we feel will take this club forward, is the best way of looking at it. I would not like to say that I do not want to take Indian coaches, or I want to take only Indian coaches. I mean, it's about how we feel is what is good for the club, what is good for that particular coach to take the club a bit forward. And I think that's the decision making that we rely on. And for example, we had a Dutch head of youth development. When we started off our residential academy for 2-3 years, we had a Dutch head of youth development. But as we progressed, we felt that we needed Indian head of youth development who could understand the Indian mentality, because you're aware that India is such a big country from different states, and kids coming from various states have different languages to speak, different eating habits. So it's like probably 10-15 European nations in one country, like a state in India. So you needed that understanding more about kids. So since probably 3 years, we have got an Indian head of youth development, and we are very proud of him because of the success rate that we are having in developing these kids. So it's about what each one brings to the table is what we feel, or what each one will bring to the table to take the club forward is the decision that we base our recruitment about the coaches. It has nothing to do whether he's not an Indian or an Indian, for that matter.
Definitely. And one more current affairs topic is that how you have, in the Indian league, the amount of foreigners are limited now. Will that affect Bengaluru FC's recruitment policy going forward?
I would say no, because the league probably had contemplated on having a lesser number of foreigners in the starting 11 from the coming season itself, and they probably were thinking about doing that or communicating to us probably sometime in May or June of 2020 for this season, 2021 season. Obviously, if that was going to be the case, then we definitely were not happy with that, because that would have affected the thought process or the way we were planning the incoming season. So yes, we would have put our hand up and said, we are not happy with this kind of a thing. But since it's going to happen from the 2021-22 season, I think it's good enough time for us to reconstruct our thought process, because at the end of the day, I think apart from what everybody says, whether the TV viewing or the attraction, etc., is going to come down or whatever, for us the simple decision making is what is good for Indian football. As I said earlier also, the owners want us to work or the club in a manner which is going to help develop Indian football further. if I think on those lines, or if that is my priority, or that is my priority in the decision making, then it's a no-brainer that more Indian players playing in the starting 11 is always going to benefit Indian football in the larger scheme of things. So for us, this is a good decision that the league has taken and the AIFF has taken, that from 2021-22 season, this will be a thing that we'll have only 4 foreigners playing in the starting 11. And as a club, in the first 4 years of our existence, when we were part of the I League, we were used to playing with 4 foreigners, or we had to play with 4 foreigners. So it's not something which is new for us. I think it's a good decision that the AIFF as well as the ISL has taken, and we look forward to that in the coming season, 2021-22 season.
So another major topic that has happened in the Indian football is the merger between Mohun Bagan and ATK. What do you think of it? Because that's like one of the most successful teams of Indian football and one of the most successful teams of ISL. So do you think like they are like a very big competitor and will be? What do you basically think of the merger?
No, I think it's a very good marriage. It is something which is going to benefit Indian football immensely. There is no doubt about that. Mohun Bagan comes with more than 100 years of history and heritage, and that is important. They've got such a huge fan base that we all are, just wondering how much support that they get wherever they play, whether it's in India, outside of India. There's a tremendous fan following that they have. Obviously, ATK is a well managed club, is a big business, is owned by a very big business family in India. So this marriage, I think, is an ideal marriage for not only for football in Calcutta but also for Indian football. And I think we are very happy that this has happened. When we were part of the I League, Mohun Bagan was always one of our major competitors. We lost to them in the last dying moments in the second year in the I League. We beat them in the finals of the Federation Cup. So we've had very close matches with them and very intense matches with them. So that rivalry we were missing when they were in the I League and we were in the ISL. Obviously, ATK also beat us recently in the semi-finals of the ISL. So that rivalry also has always been there with ATK and BFC. So when ATK Mohun Bagan comes together, this rivalry, I think, is going to get bigger. And I think we all are looking forward to it. I mean, for us, it's obviously good in terms of Indian football, etc. But on the pitch, it will be a fierce rivalry, which obviously will be from their side also. And yeah, we are looking forward to this.
Staying with Calcutta, and there were rumors that Bengaluru FC. I don't know whether the rumors that you have to clarify that Bengaluru FC wanted to invest in East Bengal. How true is it?
It's definitely not true. There is nothing that we are looking at investing in East Bengal. I mean, we hope that they come to the ISL also, because that's another big club with a lot of history and a lot of heritage, and that will add more, fans to the league, the more kind of competitiveness, or more kind of an intense rivalries with various other clubs along with Bengaluru FC. So we hope that they come into the ISL soon. But as far as BFC involved in investing into East Bengal is, I don't know how this rumor has come out, but there is no logic or no sense to this thought. It's not even a thought, to be honest.
No, maybe like a European policy where you have a feeder club, like send players out on loan, or maybe I don't know. That may be the thought process.
No, but East Bengal is not a feeder club. East Bengal is one club with a lot of heritage, and I think it's as big as, probably bigger in terms of the history and the heritage than any of the clubs in the ISL, right? Because they're more than almost 100 years old. So I think for us that kind of a thought process is not appropriate at all in terms of them being a feeder club or anything. They have got their own identity. They are a huge club, and I hope they come into the ISL. But for sure, we are not anywhere even thinking or thought about trying to invest into East Bengal.
Definitely, and one of the things that you get with East Bengal or even Mohun Bagan was the large amount of crowd that used to go to stadiums to watch them. In terms of Bengaluru FC, how has been the match day ticket sales? Like, do you get huge crowd every game, or how is it?
I think we can do better for sure. It's no doubt about that. We are averaging close to 17 to 18,000 average attendance for the last season at least. Attendance, I think that can be better. Have a match against, for example, coming, and certain games that are mid big games, we struggle with maybe 10, 11, 12,000 spectators. So obviously weekend games, high rivalry games, all these things also matter in terms of the attendance. But yes, having said that, I think we would be happy if we can improve this attendance consistently, and be in the 20, 25,000 range for every game. That is something which we as a club we need to work on, we need to improve on, and that's a challenge that we always face. And I think we will. Our team is working on various ways and how we can engage fans further to what we have been engaging in the past. Have always played a very important FC's existence, so to say, right since year one. So I think we've got a very passionate set of fans which will support us in thick and thin. Even when we are losing, you'll get to hear them louder. So which is something I think is very important. As you mentioned, right, East Bengal, Mohun Bagan have got a massive fan base, but at times even Kerala Blasters have got a very big fan base. But those fan base are big when the team is doing well. When the team is not doing well, you don't see that many fans. Especially in Kerala, we saw this year that the attendance had dropped down because of the team not doing well. I think we are all lucky that with BFC, this kind of support, whether we do well or we don't do well, we've got a very strong support from our fans, and they will always ensure that they are coming in large numbers to ensure that we do well, or if we haven't done well in the previous games, still support us to ensure that we do well. And I think that is something I think is very, very different from what fans we have compared to the fans that are there in the other clubs in India.
Definitely, and like one major thing or a milestone in Indian football was Bengaluru FC's partnership with Rangers in Scotland, which happened recently. Could you shed some light on it? Like, what do you actually expect from the partnership?
Yeah, so see, for us, it is important that we partner with a foreign club from wherever in the world who thinks like us, who wants us to grow along with them growing. And it doesn't mean that we want to buy any services from this kind of a partnership. Like whether we pay some amount, so the first team will come and play. We'll send 5 kids there, so for that this value is there. So we don't want this kind of an association or this kind of a partnership. We want a partnership which will help us grow in every aspect of a club, and which will help them grow in whatever they feel they want to grow in a market like India. And obviously most of these European clubs are looking at India as a big market in terms of, because obviously India has got those numbers. So everybody is wanting to and have been wanting to come to India since I think 3 to 4 years, but they have not been able to successfully enter Indian market because they obviously come with a kind of a menu card, if you do this, you have so much value. If you do this, you have so much value. And this will not work in Indian football as far as our experience goes. So with Rangers, was more about sharing knowledge, sharing about how they can support us on various aspects of the club. Obviously, we had one of the scouts come to our academy and to Bangalore to look at our kids. They have shortlisted around 3 kids, and these 3 kids were supposed to go to Rangers academy for around 3 to 4 months for a training stint. So this kind of partnership is what we are looking at. Unfortunately, again, because of the pandemic, we are not able to do our pre-season. Otherwise, we would have been currently in Glasgow just days before. We would have travelled to Glasgow, and we were probably going to play a match with the Ibrox, with the Rangers football team in I think 27th of July, if I'm not wrong. But obviously, because of the pandemic and because of the situation that we are in, we had to plans for this year. Through this partnership, we were to facilitate the signing of Bala Devi, one of our top Indian women's footballer, as a first woman professional footballer to get a contract in a European club. So I think we are happy with the kind of the partnership is heading in certain direction, because it's all about us growing along with them. And I think there are a lot more things that are going to happen in the future as far as our association with Rangers is concerned.
Definitely, and like I just wanted to ask, and this is a tongue-in-cheek question. Okay, what if tomorrow Rangers say we want to sign Sunil Chhetri? Will you be taking that into consideration?
Why not? I mean, absolutely. We mean, see, at the end of the day, that's a bigger platform, right? At the end of the day, you want Indian players to go and play abroad. You want Indian players to go and succeed in or rather be a role model per se. And what better occasion than having an Indian boy or an Indian player playing professional in one of the top leagues in Europe. So I think we are open to that, and we hope that soon there is an opportunity for why Sunil, any other player also to get this kind of opportunity in Rangers or any other club in Europe.
Definitely, and like staying with that topic, like there is uncertainty about everything, and like how the pandemic has disrupted all the footballing season all over the world. So, what are your views
Yeah,
on the upcoming ISL?
I mean, we're just hoping that we get more clarity on how the league is going to start and when the league is going to start. Obviously, there has been a lot of ongoing discussions with the league and with all the clubs, etc., as to what the best foot forward would be, and we are taking a lot of sessions which are with the Bundesliga, with the Premier League, to understand how they started their season, how they started their league, and what precautions need to be taken, because the priority in all this decision making is going to be the safety of the players, the safety of the coaches, the safety of the people that are involved in getting these matches organized, the referees, etc., the match commissioners. So that will be the priority of all the decision making. And with that in mind, I think in the coming 3 to 4 weeks, I think we'll have a lot more clarity on when how the league is going to be taking place. But we are looking at something after the November international window, the league to start is tentatively is what we hope is likely to happen. But there is nothing official that has been communicated by the IFF or the ISL, although discussions with both of them are continuously happening. We are having regular weekly calls with them as to how it will help everybody, because see, it has to be a decision taken by the whole stakeholders that are involved with the league. It cannot be taken just by me or just by the league or just by XYZ club. It is all of us coming together and taking the right decision, keeping in the safety and the security of everybody involved in mind. So yeah, I mean, looking forward for the season. I think it will be a intense season with a lot of teams now, trying to vie for winning the championship. You'll always have ATK FC Goa doing well. You'll have Mumbai City FC now with their association with the CFG group. Will also be a dominant force in Indian football. And obviously, you've got Jamshedpur and Odisha, etc., who are also always, performing very well along with Chennaians and Kerala. So this is going to be, I think, a very good season, something to look forward to in terms of the competitiveness of the league. So yeah, the sooner the league starts, we'll be back in business, and fans will get good football to watch.
So like I had this doubt, okay, like when you all were setting out when you started Bengaluru FC, when you were discussing you all of course would have some model that you would want to have emulated, or you would have some
Yeah.
inspiration, some club whom you wanted to emulate or at least take inspiration from. So can you say me like any club that you took inspiration from when you were starting out, maybe the setting out the milestones or the philosophy of the club?
No, I don't think so. There was any a particular club, but if you see what we started off doing in the year one of our existence, it was probably most of these things, or probably more things than what we were doing, were a common practice of any professional club in Europe. Ensuring that the boys stay together. We ensure that the club is providing them with the proper diet for their breakfast and lunch, ensuring we use the appropriate sports science, ensuring we have the right personnel, which because earlier when we were in the I League before we got involved, and I was also the manager of the Indian national team for 3 years. So my experiences with that as to what the good things were and what the bad things were also, or what more than bad things where there could be improvement. There were so many things that we felt that we could use the kind of expertise that is there in the European clubs, and try and bring that into Indian football to see how we can have a solid foundation at the club, because it's not always about spending on the players. It is also about giving those necessary comfort levels to the players to ensure that even maybe a average player, because of this support, can probably play much beyond his abilities, or his level also increases. So that is what we had in mind. Earlier in the I League there used to be support staff only of 4 people, which was the head coach, the assistant coach, the team manager, and a physiotherapist. So there were only 4 people, along with the club, moving around for matches or for training, etc. But when we came in, obviously now it's a common practice. But in 2013, when we were there, we started off with 9 to 10 officials with the team, which could be a head coach, an assistant coach, a goalkeeping coach, a fitness trainer, a physio, a couple of masseurs, a team analyst, a team manager, a media manager, and all these things you require. Even you require that support for the team when they are traveling. Because when I was a player, I always felt that we just have a coach and another physio with us. But if I had a team of 8-10 people, then you feel also very, that you get a lot of support from all these things. So I think these small things are these things that normally are of common knowledge or common awareness of everyone involved with football, because it's happening everywhere in Europe or in South America or in America or even in certain countries in Asia. But nobody wants to do that because that costs money, because that requires money. So the thought process is what, instead of spending money on that, let's get a better player, or let's pay more money on a certain player. So I think we decided that we wanted to change that philosophy. And I remember in the year one, we had of the budget that we were given, only 48% of that was used on the players' wages. The rest 52% was in putting the systems right, in giving that necessary importance to all the other aspects of a football club per se and a football team per se. And I think that's what we learned from all clubs and not a club in particular. And I think that is of common knowledge. We all know how these European clubs function. It's just about the intent and the support we got from the owners also to enable us to use these thought processes, to use these ideas, to ensure that we, bring a kind of a culture at a club, which is not just on the pitch, but also off the pitch, which would be somewhere closer or somewhere we learn from all these or we see at these European clubs.
Definitely, that's of course a very very valid point. And one thing about Bangalore FC, although you said you would like to improve on the fans, but you have a very very loyal support, that is the West Block Blues. So like if fans cannot attend the games, in the upcoming future seasons, which is a possibility, how do you think that you all can maybe bridge the gap between the fans and the team?
Yeah. No, so this is going to be something which obviously, as I mentioned, we have been discussing internally with our team at the club as to what various ways we can do in case of various things. Now obviously the league has also put us in touch with clubs in Bundesliga, the clubs in Premier League, as to how they are doing. We watch the Bundesliga, we are watching the Premier League. So there will be certain inputs and certain things that we may take from them also, which could be suited to our fans and our club. Not necessarily that everything that they do is going to be suiting to our club or our fans, but whatever the best practices are there from such leagues which we can incorporate are something that we look forward to. Obviously, there will be a lot of importance on the digital space in terms of everything that is involved with fan engagement. If at all the fans are not going to be able to come to the stadiums or the matches are going to be played behind closed doors. So there are various things which our team will have to innovate. We all will have to innovate in ensure that we give that same kind of experience to the fans or keep them engaged like they have been. So yeah, I mean, it's something challenging, but we are looking forward to it because you need such challenges. You want to ensure that you want to do something, take that next step better. So maybe this can be a good learning for us this season. If at all it happens behind closed doors and we are able to do some things differently, this can probably be a trend setter for even the next seasons, where even though the state people are coming to the stadiums, this will be an additional kind of engagement part that we will be able to do. So I think it's about looking positively at things and not looking at it in a negative manner. It's something that we as a club we always feel, and in sports everybody has to think positively. So I think as a club we are thinking in the best ways how we can help the fans to remain engaged with the clubs, with the matches that we'll be playing, etc. So yeah, so once we have the clarity from the league as to how the league will be held or how the league will be structured, basis that I think we have got enough and more ideas in place to start executing our plans.
Okay, I had one question. Okay, I was reading this book, Barefoot to Boots, okay, by Novi Kapadia, and I came across one. Basically, I wanted to read the Bangalore part so that I could structure out more questions for you, okay, for this interview. So I came across one thing that was very sad. I didn't know this. There was this guy, a former player called Mohun Kumar of ITI, who's working as a guard. It's very sad, and.
Yeah.
Are you
Yeah.
looking personally, maybe for your current crop of players who are close to retirement, getting to bring them back as coaches, maybe in the youth setup or something, which is very common maybe when you go to Europe? Are you all trying to emulate that in the long run or something?
Yeah, no. So that is always been a case. I think. I mean, coming to your first thing, Bangalore has always had a very good culture for football in the past. We had a lot of ex-players from Bengaluru who were part of the Indian national team in the 60s, 70s, 80s. And obviously ITI, HL, they were the two clubs which were owned by government organizations per se, and not private limited clubs per se, which there's a big rivalry between these two clubs, ITI and HL. And there was a very good football culture. And unfortunately, that couldn't sustain and that couldn't go on till long. And we hear about such unfortunate situations where certain quality players who have been really good in when they were there in their prime are unfortunately not able to have a kind of a good livelihood per se. So as a club, we are trying to do something for them also in terms of in whichever way possible to help them. And yes, why not? Yeah, if anybody who's been part of Bengaluru FC wants to uh, come back to the club in any form or the other, the doors are always open. We for us, Bengaluru FC is a family, right? It's a family of current and ex players, coaches, etc. And this family will always be growing. And that doesn't mean that the people who are not part of the current family will be left out or will not be considered. If there is anything required, anything support, or in terms of jobs or anything else also, I think will always be there as a club to support them. And ideally, yes, if players after retirement who want to get into coaching, I think their affinity towards the club will be more because they've been always been a part of the system, part of the club, and then to come and work as coaches or even as officials, etc. I think we'll be more than happy. But since we have a very short history of only 7 years, it's not happening now. But yes, in the future, this is something which we obviously don't mind looking at, and we'll be more happy if we get such opportunities.
So definitely, and like of course now we are getting to the end of the interview, and I wanted to ask you this question. Okay, like where do you, not where do you, that would be a very stupid question, but like what are your goals or your milestones that you see or you set out for Bangalore in the next 10 years?
No, I think we need to grow a lot. I think we may be good or one of the better teams in India, but it's about playing consistently well in Asia, in AFC Cup or AFC Champions League, and to ensure that we help with our performance in Asia for Indian club ranking to go high and more clubs from India to get opportunity to play in the various competitions on the continental level. So that is obviously what we want to do as a club in terms of the growth is concerned. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, if we have to contribute to the overall development of Indian football, or be a small part in the overall development of Indian football, then we want more players from our club representing the various national teams, whether it's the senior national team or the national teams at the youth level. So I think that's what we aspire to do, or that's what we want to do, because we want to help Indian football grow. So that can be with, again, as I mentioned, with players, maybe with good coaches that develop with the club. Last couple of India's World Cup qualifiers that we played against Qatar and Oman, 6 players of the starting 11 were BFC players. So that is something which we are more proud of, and we want this to happen more consistently going forward also. So that means we are contributing, in creating players or giving players the platform where they can go on to represent the national team. So I think that's what we want to do, and as I mentioned, we want to consistently be doing well, not only just in India but also in Asia. And ideally, we want to win a continental championship, either the AFC Cup. And I think winning the AFC Cup is more realistic in the immediate future. Obviously, AFC Champions League is a different kettle of fish, and I think we still need to grow ourselves as a club to reach to be able to thinking about winning the Champions League. But yeah, at the end, that would be our goal to be one of the top clubs in Asia.
Hopefully, and hopefully we can even see maybe Bangalore FC partner up with some Nepalese club like how he did with Rangers, to
Yeah, why not?
influence the football.
Why not? For sure, for sure, for sure.
So like you have been there for quite a while, okay? And this is my second last question. I don't want to take up much of your time, okay? So
No, it's fine. It's fine. Go ahead.
uh, uh, so in this 7-8 years that you have been with Bengaluru FC, which has been the most proudest moment for you?
Wow. I mean, there have been many proud moments here. I mean, it has been the first ISL, the first Federation Cup, the first I League. I mean, there's been a lot of such things. Yeah, obviously, the game that we won against Johor in the semi-finals of the AFC Cup, something that night was probably special for us. But for me, individually, I think signing Sunil Chetri for Bengaluru FC in 2013, I still feel is one of the best decisions as a club and as an individual that we have taken, because I think his influence on the club on and off the pitch is something. I mean, on the pitch, obviously everybody has seen it, everybody knows about it, but his influence on the club and everybody at the club off the pitch is something incredible. And I think he is a huge contributor to what the club stands today for. So I think, yeah, I would probably say signing Sunil Chetri is probably one of my personal, I would say, bigger moments of my association or of our existence as Bengaluru FC.
So definitely, and it has been a very successful signing as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Sunil is obviously a big name, not only just in India, but obviously in Asia also. So having him for 7 years at the club is something which is definitely special. I'm pretty sure it's special for him also. But for us, for all of us at the club, having Sunil is a big thing, and I would say it's a big thing on and definitely off the pitch also.
So, like on that note, I'll ask you one final question. Okay, and suppose if tomorrow Bengaluru FC had the opportunity to sign one of these two players, whom would you sign, Ronaldo or Messi?
Wow. I don't know. I mean, it will depend on the coach, because at the end of the day, the coach is the one who takes the final call on players signing. So I leave it to whoever the coach would be. But if it's Carlos, and obviously Carlos being from Barcelona, it's a no-brainer that it has to be Messi. But if it's my decision only, then because I like Ronaldo, I would say Ronaldo, because Ronaldo is a one-man army. Messi requires other players to do what Messi does best. Obviously, both are incredible players. But if it's a choice of Carlos, then it's a no-brainer. It will be Messi all the way.
So definitely. On that note, Mr. Tamhane, thank you so much for talking to me, and I wish you all the best for your future campaigns with BFC, and wish you win all the possible trophies domestically and internationally, unless you face any team from Nepal. And hope we can talk again soon. Thank you for coming on the show. Take care. Stay safe. Bye.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. Thanks a lot.